Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. In this session, we will be discussing from the 7th verse of the 10th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ushitva Hastinapure Masan Katipayan Harihi Suhridam Cha Vishokaya Swashuscha Priyakamyaya. The meaning of this verse is Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna, resided at Hastinapura for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Subhadra. So here is a description that after the battle of Kurukshetra, it was already described that Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned as the emperor of the world. Now Krishna had come to Hastinapura in order for arranging this battle of Kurukshetra, in which Krishna's mission of reducing the burden of this earth planet, which was overburdened by demoniac forces, to reduce these demoniac forces, Krishna had appeared when the Mother Earth and the demigods prayed to the Lord. So the Lord appeared, Krishna appeared, original form of the Lord appeared, Krishna appeared to reduce the burden. So the reduction of the burden began when he was on his mother's lap, just a few days old infant. Putana came to kill Krishna, and Krishna, instead of Putana killing him, of course Krishna cannot be killed. So Krishna sucked out the life air, and from there on these demons were delivered by Krishna when Krishna killed them one after another. But even after so much of killing, still some demons remained towards the end of Krishna's manifest pastimes. So the remaining demons were assembled in the battle of Kurukshetra, and Krishna did not personally kill them, but Krishna arranged killing them through the Pandavas, his devotees. Now the benefit for these demoniac forces or demons is that when Krishna kills them, they're delivered, they're liberated. Not only that, even when Krishna was present on the battlefield, even though they were not directly killed by Krishna, just because of the presence of Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all those who died in the presence of Krishna were liberated, were delivered. So Krishna is merciful to everyone. But nevertheless, he had to take this action because the devotees are unnecessarily harassed by the demons. Unnecessarily. So when the harassment becomes too much, then Krishna personally comes or empowers his agents to actually deal with these demons. So after that battle of Kurukshetra, after Yudhishthira was enthroned as the emperor of the world, Krishna's work is over. He has to return to Dwarka. So here it is described when did he go to Dwaraka? Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. Not immediately, even though his work was over, he stayed back a few months, as is described in this 7th verse. Krishna resided in Hastinapura for a few months to pacify his relatives. Because in this battle, so many were killed. So many of them were related to Krishna. So Krishna had to pacify the survivors. And also to please his own sister Subhadra. The Subhadra was married to Arjuna, and that was explained by Prabhupada in the purport. Why Krishna had to stay back to pacify Subhadra. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna was to start for Dwaraka, his own kingdom, after the battle of Kurukshetra and Yudhishthira being enthroned. But to oblige the request of Maharaj Yudhishthira and to show special mercy to Bhishma Deva, Lord Krishna stopped at Hastinapura, the capital of the Pandavas. Yudhishthira requested Krishna, please stay back for a few months. And Krishna accepted. But during that time, as is described in this verse, he also was pacifying his relatives. And he showed special mercy to Bhishma Deva, as was described in the previous chapter. He was personally present when Bhishma was to quit the body and blessed Bhishma Deva by his presence. So, it is further said by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, the Lord decided to stay especially to pacify the aggrieved king, Yudhishthira, as well as to please Subhadra, the sister of Lord Krishna. Now, why was Subhadra aggrieved? That is because Subhadra was especially to be pacified because she lost her only son Abhimanyu, who was just married. Abhimanyu was the son of Subhadra and Arjuna. Subhadra was married to Arjuna. So, this Abhimanyu, he left his wife Uttara, who was the mother of Maharaj Parikshit. Now it is described in the Mahabharata as well as the Bhagavata elsewhere that when the Pandavas were in exile, the 13th year they spent in the kingdom of Virat Maharaja, the kingdom of Virata Pradesha. So they disguised themselves. Arjuna became a dancing teacher in the court of Virat Raja. So Virat Maharaj could not make out that this dance teacher who's seeking some engagement or employment is actually Arjuna. He could not make out because the Pandavas disguised themselves according to the agreement in the gambling match, which was a cheating, but nevertheless, because the Pandavas lost, Yudhishthira Maharaj agreed to go in exile and stay. Those accustomed to royal comforts, they have to stay in the forest in exile 12 years, and the 13th year they have to hide themselves somewhere. And if Duryodhana discovers where they are hiding, then they have to again go 12 years for exile, 12 more years for exile. Because Duryodhana attempted to kill the Pandavas just so that he could rule the kingdom out of his greed, though he's not entitled. It's not his rightful claim to become the emperor. But because he was greedy, somehow or the other, eliminate the Pandavas, who are the rightful claimants for the throne. So he tried to kill them, but because the Pandavas were always protected by Krishna, Duryodhana could not kill them. Then somehow, by trick, by cheating, send them away to the forest and keep them in the forest forever. So this was the plot that was hatched by Duryodhana in consultation with his maternal uncle Shakuni, who was another wicked person. Same mentality as Duryodhana, demoniac mentality. Shakuni also. So this Duryodhana and Shakuni plotted to send away the Pandavas to exile by cheating the Pandavas in a gambling match. And 13th year exile, what happened? That Arjuna disguised as a dancing teacher, and he became the dance teacher of Virat Maharaj's daughter Uttara. So then, after the period of exile was over, 1 year is over, the 13th year, then the Pandavas revealed their identity, and they had to go back to Hastinapura to get back their kingdom, which they had lost during the gambling match, because they fulfilled the conditions. So when they went back, they were not given and the kingdom back, and Duryodhana refused. So Duryodhana said, if you want the kingdom, you have to fight and defeat us, and then only take back the kingdom. So then the battle of Kurukshetra was inevitable. So but still, when Virat Maharaj came to know after the 13th year of exile of the Pandavas that they were the Pandavas, the great Pandavas, and Arjuna, the great bowman, the greatest bowman of his time, he was living incognito and he was a dance teacher. So Virat Maharaj felt very, very bad, sorry for the Pandavas. In any case, he thought that now is the opportunity for me to marry my daughter to Arjuna. When he discovered Arjuna is the one who was the dance teacher. So when he offered to marry his daughter to Arjuna, because Kshatriyas, they can marry, Arjuna is already married to Draupadi, but Kshatriyas can marry more than one, have more than one wife, can have more than one queen. So when he was offered, he refused, because by teaching Virat Maharaj's daughter, being the dance teacher, he was like a teacher is on the level of the father. So I am like the father of your daughter, so I cannot marry your daughter. So Virat Maharaj was very disappointed. Then he said, okay, I cannot marry, but my son can marry your daughter. So Abhimanyu was just 16 years old, but still he was a prince, and Virat Maharaj's daughter was a princess. So it was a suitable match. Therefore, Arjuna offered Virat Maharaja that you can marry your daughter to my son. And Virat Maharaj was very pleased. So this Virat Maharaj's daughter Uttara was married to Abhimanyu, who was the son of Arjuna and Subhadra. But soon after that, what happened? The battle of Kurukshetra was declared. It had to be fought, and the Pandavas, along with their sons, Abhimanyu also went to fight. But this boy never returned alive. He was killed in the battle, in the fighting. So Subhadra lost her son. Uttara, the daughter-in-law of Arjuna, lost her husband Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son. So to pacify, and Subhadra is Krishna's sister. So after the battle of Kurukshetra, because Subhadra lost her son, Krishna wanted to stay back and pacify Subhadra. That is being described here. So that's the context in which it is said here. Krishna wanted to satisfy, pacify his sister. Now, it should be understood that Krishna has no particular affection for his relatives, like conditioned souls have some specific affection for their own relatives. No. Krishna is actually affectionate to his devotees. And when he performs his Leela, his devotees assume the role of Krishna's relatives. Just like Devaki and Vasudeva are devotees of Krishna, but they play the role of Krishna's father and mother. Or Subhadra is the devotee of Krishna, but she plays the role of Krishna's sister, like that. So, Krishna is always pleased to satisfy his devotees, and therefore he stayed back to pacify his sister, who is a devotee of Krishna. Not because she's sister, she's playing the part of sister, but she's devotee. And only the devotees can play the part of the Lord's relatives. And the Lord is always absolute. He is not particularly partial to his relatives, and he is neglectful about other people, indifferent to other people. No. He is always equal to everybody, but his devotees, he has got some special affection. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.